Which country you come from?
My name is Rishad and I came from Bangladesh.
Okay. And now what's your major?
My major is computer science and technology.
Okay. Which university?
Currently I'm studying at Zhejiang Gongsheng University, but I did my bachelor from Hangzhou Dianji University.
Oh, that's nice. So why you choose China for your study?
After completing my senior high school degree, I was searching some universities in Europe and some other countries for my bachelor degree, but there was time limitation and some complication about visa, and I had some of my brothers, they're studying in different universities in China, and they were recommending me that China is really good for study, especially engineering, because it's now one of the fast developing country in the world. So I thought, why not to try in China, and then I tried and I came here.
Okay, got it. So what do you most like in China? What fascinates?
I think the first thing is Chinese people. They are so friendly, and the living environment in China is so amazing. We have peace everywhere, and it's safe, and life is so convenient. Technology advancement. So yeah, I think the lifestyle and the people.
Okay. So what's your plan after your graduation? Will you gonna be here?
Currently, I'm doing my master degree, so I have planned to do job after completing the graduation. But I'm not quite sure, but I will maybe go for a PhD or something. But first I will try for job because I heard that in Hangzhou it's tough to get job without a master degree. So I stayed, and maybe I will apply for job.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your opinion.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we are gonna officially start this live streaming right now. So I hope that you have enjoyed the video that we were watching. As you just saw that what we did, right? The video that was played twice. We are a company called AOE Chinese, and we are actually a very professional company in teaching Mandarin or Putonghua to the overseas learners, right? And so, here, we're a quite diverse family. As you can just see through that video, we had like friends from, 四海为家 from all different parts of the world. And they came here to AOE Chinese for our very first opening event, right? So as I mentioned, what is AOE Chinese? So AOE Chinese, we are actually a very, very professional company providing services for foreigners here. So you can improve. So we have like Mandarin skill, like your real Mandarin skill improvement class. We also have the HSK class, and we also have the studying in China programs, right? Today we're going to focus on the study in China programs, and specifically we'll come to this very, very first and I mean, this is something that all of you really, really care about when you come to study in China, which is, how should I choose a Chinese university, or what should I consider when I choose a Chinese university, right? So, I mean, if you do have any specific questions about Chinese university applications, university selections, or about the scholarship programs here in China, you can always private message us at AOE Chinese. I think on our web page, on our social media account, we should have our email address, right? And so we'll begin this topic by giving you the very broad concept first, okay? So you know that studying in China is actually a very, very big decision. China is actually the third study abroad destination in the world, ranking only below the UK. And as you saw in our previous video, in that video which we did the interview, there are lots and lots of international students coming to pursue their studies in China these years. Those are due to the huge advantages that Chinese universities have to offer. There's very good research facilities, very good infrastructure. China is a very safe country, right? Because there's very strict gun violation. And also, you know that in China there's no such things as drug dealings. And also, I think the economy here is growing. People's life feels very peaceful, right? So there are actually many advantages with regards to studying here. And as we know that China is actually a very huge country. I mean, we have like 960 square as 900 I think 9.6 million square meters of land area. So like, from all the provinces up from north to Harbin down to Hainan province. Oh my gosh, there are like tons of unis that tons of cities, tons of unis, tons of choices, right? And most people, what they're really concerned with is, like, because, I've also studied abroad before, right? I've studied abroad in America. Studying abroad is a very huge decision because you're facing an absolutely new environment where, you have to speak a new language. I know that Mandarin is actually a very difficult skill to acquire, right? It's even more difficult, I think, than some sort of like Icelandic language. Especially coming to China, you have a huge cultural shock. Also, you're really far away from your family. Also, some people are concerned about tuition. All these things, people are worried. Hey, China is a big country. Coming to China, studying China is a big choice. And it's a tough decision to make right here when I come to China. Oh, I don't even know what school I should choose because I'm a foreigner. Oh my gosh, China has like more than 1,000 universities to choose from these days. Which uni should I go to? In fact, guys, while this is a very tough thing to consider in terms of like what university you should apply for, right? So my friends, they have all been to different universities in China. They've had great experiences. Okay, so first of all, just as I mentioned that there are 1,000 universities in China. Okay, 1,000 universities in China for us to choose from. Okay, we also have. Okay, so China has 100 universities ranking within the global 1,000 according to the QS. It's called the QS ranking. Okay, the Quorum ranking, and Chinese universities, it has actually exceeded many Western universities in terms of their research strength and global ranking and reputation. So China has like the C9 list, which will not go, the C9 list, those are the Chinese Ivy League schools, and also China has like 985 programs. 985 programs are what we call the elite universities, and the 211 universities. 211 universities are like Chinese universities that are elevated to international standards, right? So if you coming to China, if you're worried about ranking or about the research environment, all that kind of stuff, no, that's not an issue. I must say that Chinese education these days, it is quite advanced. Okay, so now there's so many universities that you say, oh, I can choose this one, I can choose that one. Okay, so what is the first factor that you should consider? Okay, so I know that so many of you, maybe some of you here are coming to China because you just want to learn Chinese. Maybe some of you are coming to China because you want to get better educational experience, or you want to go into academia. Okay, so my friends, this is the first question that all of us should consider when we decide if we want to study in China. Okay, do you want to go into academia? Okay, and when I say if you want to go into academia, this is not just for like if you're going to do a PhD, like a postdoc, or get a research fellowship position, whether that's in China, Belgium, whether or not you plan to stay in China after graduation, just consider academia. If you're trying to be a professor or a researcher, normally speaking, the global ranking of your PhD program is quite important, right? So China has quite a few universities, as I mentioned, that are in the global 1,000. So if you really, really want to do academia, right, I would recommend that you try to go for at least the 211 programs, because the 211 the universities within the 211 program list. Why do I recommend that? Because generally speaking, those 211 program universities, they have very well funded research labs, and they have joint collaborations with overseas universities or with other prestigious universities around the world. For example, we'll mention this university in China. It's called Shandong University. Actually, because I grew up in Jinan, I know this university very well. Shandong University, they have some overseas. They have some research lab which we have joint research programs with like overseas universities, right? They have a campus in Qingdao that just deals with computer science. Their computer science research institute is famous worldwide and has partners worldwide, right? Now, if you're a very, very competitive person in the academic field, if chances allow you, I would recommend that you go for the 985 universities, because these universities, they will definitely have a lot more research funding, and the Chinese government has also placed a priority on them. They have also different kind of research initiatives on this program, on those 2985 universities, right? So, and if it's possible, you can go to the C9 programs, right? Fudan or Jiaotong or Beida or Tsinghua, these kind of universities, right? These kind of universities, they're not only like their research strength is not only the best in China. In fact, they're best in the world. Actually, when I looked at Tsinghua or Peking University, sometimes I find that their ranking is within the global 400, 300. They're actually better than some of the best universities in other countries in the world. Now, guys, so there are some people say, hey, I don't want to come to China for academia, right? I just want to have a short-term experience, or I just want a degree, or I just want to find a job until upon graduation. If that's the case, guys, you can just choose a good ranking university in China. What I mean by good ranking university is that it's above average, it's relatively well heard among the expat community or globally. For example, I will use this example. I will use this example, especially if you're going to leave China after graduation. Let's say today your plan is okay. So I am going to finish my school in China. After China, what I want to do is just want to go back home to find a job. Okay, then that's easy. Actually, if you're going back home to just find a job upon graduation, then what the ranking of your university, it really does not matter that much, because people are in your home country is not going to have heard of it. Also, if you're trying to find a job in China upon graduation, actually, university ranking would matter to some extent, but not as much as if you're going to the academia, because really when they hire you in China, they will really care about what you can provide to the company, what your overall strengths is, not the research, not actually the research, not your university's ranking, right? Because your university ranking will usually determine, how should I say, it will usually determine your research level. Okay, so guys, I do want to remind you that we are actually AOE Chinese. We are a very professional Chinese company, offer services in Mandarin skills, in HSK exams, and also in study in China programs, right? So if you want to pass your HSK in China, if you say, oh, hey, HSK is hard, then you can come to us. We'll help you to pass HSK until, we'll help you to learn, we'll teach you HSK until you pass your exams, right? And also, if you're trying to improve your practical Mandarin skills, you can also come to meet us, right? We'll also evaluate and assess your current Chinese skills and determine the right course of plan for you, okay? So that's that. And today's topic is about choosing a Chinese university, right? Now, I just mentioned about the first factor, whether or not you want to consider going to academia. So the short answer to this question is, if you're planning to go into academia, preferably choose the C9 programs in China. If not C9, then 985 or the 211 programs. If you're not planning to go into academia, just choose a good ranking school in China. And China has many good ranking schools. Even if they're not in the 211 program, they can still be very good universities. Okay, so that's that. And also right here, all right. And also the next question is, do you plan to stay in China for a short term, or do you plan to stay in China for a very long term? I have many expat friends here in China. Some people say, hey, all I need in China is I just need to a Mandarin skill, or just want a short-term experience in China, let's say 3 months or 4 months or stuff, or maybe just up to a year. And actually, different universities in China, they have short-term programs. So there are always language programs at different universities. Like some universities, they will teach you Chinese for like a set period of time. Right, once you finish your Chinese course, then they will let you go, and you can either like get your visa, or maybe you can return to your home country with like enough Chinese learning experience. Or if you're planning, to maybe just come to China for other exchange programs, not really just to learn Chinese, but maybe on an exchange programs for something else, maybe for like political science or for law or for engineering. There are also programs for that. Okay, and we also have degree programs in China. So there's like bachelor's degree, master's degree, and PhD degree. Okay, so if you're planning to study in China for the long term, then you should look for the normal avenue to apply for those long-term degrees in China. So if you're trying to go to high school, if you're trying to go to a bachelor's degree, you need like a high school degree, also maybe your high school academic records, as well as your diploma, all that kind of stuff, right? And master's degree, yes, then you need a bachelor's, and PhD degree, you will need to have a master's degree, etc. Right? Of course, if you're going to a higher degree, then you need to have degree from a lower level in order to proceed to that field. And for each degree you apply for, the documentations that are required would be vastly different. And for the long-term programs, so when you actually search for universities, if you're considering a short program, look at whether that university has those short-term language programs or exchange programs. Whereas if you really want to study there for 4 years, 2 years, or 3 years whatsoever, check their website to see if they have like a application window for a like long-term degree for international students, and submit the relevant documentations. And I would think you need like a long-term student visa in order to do your degree. Okay, do your degree there. Okay, and so the next question that you guys would, and I think this is something very important, whether you're just trying to stay in China for short term or long term, this is the next question that most people will care about. Do you really want to come to China? Do you want to practice your Chinese skills? Okay. So, China these days, it's actually a very, very international city. In fact, if I go to some of the big cities in China, I will not even have to speak English. Of course, here in Hangzhou, it's quite a different story. I mean, people would punch me in the face if I don't speak if I speak English all the time. But if you go to big cities in China, bigger cities in China like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, or maybe even in a small city in China with a huge expat population, for example, like Yiwu, then you don't even need to speak a single word of Chinese. And sometimes you can just get along with your mother tongue. Let's say if it's French or Arabic or German, whatever sort of language, or Russian, whatever sort of language it is, right? In the northeast of China, near Harbin, they have a huge Russian community, so people can just get there by speaking Russians all the time. I'm not sure, but I have to go to Harbin. I have to go to Harbin myself to experience that before I can give you the definitive answer to this question, right? So if you're planning, the fact is, if you go to big cities, what I'm trying to say is, if you go to big cities, not only are there many expats, but due to the high degree of internalization in those cities like Beijing, Shanghai, the local Chinese people there, they can also speak decent English because they have been well educated, or a large number of them have gone abroad. And actually, if you go to a big city like Shanghai, you'll find that lots of people can speak English like me. And even in Shanghai, I don't like to speak English at all. I just like to speak. I don't like to speak Chinese at all. I just like to speak English. Well, that's a complete joke, okay? Because if I have to buy a train ticket, if I have to buy breakfast, I would not dare to speak English to one of the people there. But if ever given a chance, I would speak English in Shanghai. I was working in Shanghai for 6 months. So many expats, and maybe the people in the elevator, I could speak English to them, even at the hospitals. Now, if you come to a tier 2 city or a tier 3 city in China where the population is less, also the degree of internalization is smaller, then there will be like more people speaking Chinese than English. You will most likely be facing local Chinese residents. In that case, you will not hear a single word of English. You will have a very good exposure to the Chinese environment. Okay, and that is actually very, very good for you to improve your Mandarin skills. I mean, so for cities like Hangzhou, Chengdu, Chongqing, or Wuhan, I mean, it's a big city, but it's not that international. There's still the local feeling behind it. The people there, sometimes they even require you to speak the local dialect, which for me, that is quite difficult. I cannot speak any local dialects here in China. All right, so if that's the case, go to a smaller city, go to these places. They have smaller expat population, more Chinese population, so you can really experience the local way of life. You can communicate with the locals. You will not have see any expats around you, and that'd be great for your Chinese skills. And there can be even cities in China with almost no expats, like even smaller cities such as Rizhao or maybe Yantai, I'm not sure. Jinan, definitely. Also like Jinan, also cities like Hohhot, these kind of cities, right? Not only are they good for um, improving your Chinese skills, but they're also good for improving your way of life. I mean, your understanding of the local way of life, right? So, guys, I want to remind you that we are here with AOE Chinese. AOE Chinese is actually a very great very great. It's a very great professional company. They offer Mandarin services, right? We'll teach you the right Mandarin skills and to help you like communicate in China, or maybe to do business with like overseas Chinese investors. We'll also help you pass the HSK exams. Or HSK courses. They're totally online. You can take them 10,000 times, 10,000 times as much as you want before you pass your HSK exam, because you need the HSK exam to the HSK record to get into Chinese uni, also to apply for your visa, right? And most importantly, we help you apply for Chinese universities. There are different kind of programs in China that you can choose: short-term programs, long-term programs, different kind of universities that you can choose, and we'll help you make the tough decision. We'll understand your needs and pick your choice for you, and pick the right university or the right program for you, depending on what you need. Okay, so now we just mentioned if you know what the if if you want to improve your Chinese skills. So the short answer is go to large cities. If you don't want to learn any English, go to smaller cities if you really want to improve your Chinese. Okay, so the next part you should consider is your major. We know that just like universities all around the world, different universities have their different areas of strength, right? Maybe it's a top ranking university and maybe weaker in some parts. Maybe it's a lower ranking university and may be good on other parts, right? So that's important. So look at your program and assess and look. So first, you need to know what program you're interested in. Is like, are you interested in political study programs, medical study programs, finance programs? What is your program? And then look at the ranking of that program inside your university, inside the university that you want to go to. Now, I can give you some very general information on the ranking of the programs, right? So, Beijing University is very good on engineering courses and science courses. Sorry, Tsinghua University is good in engineering courses and science courses. Beijing Universities is better at the humanities, right? Because Beijing universities actually there were so many different kind of like artists or maybe literate people or maybe kind of like writers who graduated from Peking University. Now, and if you're trying to study law, you can go to China University of Chinese University of Politics and Law. Actually, there's a university for that. It's called Chinese University of Law and Politics. You can go to that university because most of their their good majors are law around the legal areas or around politics, right? Or if you want to go to, or if you go to China Renmin University, Renmin University is actually very good for journalism, right? And also, if you're looking at the universities in Shanghai, like Jiaotong University is very good for engineering and science, and Fudan, I think, is good for law as well. So in different cities, okay, in different cities, the universities, there are different universities that are good in different fields, right? And you should really look at the ranking of your major in the ranking of the majors in different universities before you really choose a university. Okay. And another important factor that most of you guys are actually very concerned with is your finances, right? Well, first of all, before I really talk about the issue with finances, right, I assure you that Chinese universities, like the finances, like the tuition fees, is pretty low, right? Also, there's not like mandatory health insurance or different kind of insurance for international students. It's not like studying in the US or UK where there's like a huge tuition plus a huge student health insurance. China does not charge that much money for international students, right? In fact, if you look at the statistics, you'll find that China's medical programs are like it's 30. I think my friend told me it's 30 to 40k, 30 to 40k for like about 4-year program. I mean, for the tuition part, 30 to 40k for 4 years. Whoa, that's very cheap. And China's medical programs, in fact, they're actually even cheaper than the medical programs in India. And plus, China has very good medical research institutes as well as very good medical research labs, right? So guys, if finance is an important issue that you want to consider, then you can look at the tuition programs of different universities. There are universities that offer that offer scholarship programs for the Belt and Road, one belt, one route countries. There are different also universities that offer scholarship for international exchange. Now, the higher ranking the university is generally, I mean, this is the general thing. The higher ranking the university is, the more likelihood it is for the university to offer scholarship for international students, right? So try to get into a better ranking school to get those scholarships. Now, to get China government scholarships, sometimes you must be very, very competitive in your field. Maybe you have done a lot of research papers, or maybe you were like a very active person in your industry before you actually apply, right? Now, however, some people say, I cannot obtain scholarship, but I still care about my finance. What should I do? Okay, so in that case, if finance is an important issue, but you cannot obtain scholarship, what I would do is I would recommend you to choose one of the smaller cities in China, and also like a above average ranking university in that city, right? For example, here in Hangzhou, Hangzhou, we have many top universities like Zhegongda, or maybe like Zhejiang University. Zhegongda is Zhejiang University of engineering, right? Also, we have Zhejiang University, which is a C9 university in China. Actually, Zhejiang University of Technology. That's also like the 211 programs, right? But in Hangzhou, we also have a ton of other universities that you can actually apply for. And their tuition is relatively low. Plus, Hangzhou, the city of Hangzhou is not really like that expensive in my view, right? It's not like Beijing or Shanghai where just a small bowl of noodle will cost you like 50 RMB or even 60 RMB. So Beijing or Shanghai, so Hangzhou, I think in general, the cost of living is pretty low. Plus, if you just choose a normal school like Hangzhou Dianzi University, so it's called Hangzhou University of Electronics, or it's called Zhejiang Ligong. It's like Zhejiang University of Engineering and Science. Or if you choose something such as Zhejiang Foreign Language Universities or Hangzhou Normal University, Zhejiang Normal University, here the list goes down forever. They have a ton of these universities with not too high tuition, but also high admission, not high admission rates, but or high number of international students. You guys can absolutely go to these schools right there. The tuition fee, guys, I will tell you, it's definitely not that high. It's pretty cheap. You'll definitely love it. And like 100, and sometimes if those university campuses are actually located over in the outskirts of Hangzhou, right, then your cost of living will be lower. Even like you can live off campus with very low rental fees, right? So China has very big universities, lots of universities to choose from. Even if you don't enter the 211 programs in China, there's a ton of universities that you can choose from. Okay, so that's that. And guys, the next point that you should really consider is the geography of the university that you apply for. Okay, so let me give you this general idea again. As I mentioned at the beginning, okay, at the very beginning of this live streaming, China is a vast country with 9.6 million square meters of landmass. So if you go to a different part of China, the the climate there, the geographical conditions there, landscapes there, everything is gonna be absolutely different. Okay, so so first of all, there's the distinction between the north and south of China. Okay, so the north of China in general, they're more dry. The people there are more conservative. They're more traditional, and they're less open to foreigners. But I think Beijing is an exception because Beijing is too international, right? Because Beijing, like it's the capital city of China. They cannot be too localized. They have to accept the international, like the influx of international influence, because Beijing is the capital city of China, so it is international enough. All right, but if you actually go to like south of China, the south of China, I mean, because during the history in China, the south of China actually does. It's like the economic center of China. This part of China does more business with the outside world. So they're more open to Western ideas. They're more open to foreign ideas. There's also a lot more foreign a lot more foreign nationals coming into the southern region of China. And so, there are cities like Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Yiwu, Shanghai, Ningbo, all these kind of cities that are quite international. And the people there, they have seen lots and lots of foreigners in their real life. Okay. So first of all, you can be considered between the north and the south. Okay. And then we can consider the differences between the coastal areas and the hinterland. So if you guys are a fan of like seafood, the beaches or the ocean, or if you just want, or if you want to be like basking yourself under the sun, right? We really recommend you to choose cities like Qingdao, Yantai, Rizhao, Ningbo, Xiamen, these kind of cities. In fact, like Xiamen is also a very, very international city. And it's like located on the other side of Kinmen Island. It's very close to Taiwan. And like with all the ships going to Xiamen, travels to Southeast Asia, to Japan, all that different kind of places, right? And we also have like Shenzhen. Shenzhen is right across the border from Hong Kong, right? That city Shenzhen, in my view, is also quite. It's a coastal city, and it's also quite international, right? So and also there's like innerland cities. Okay, I mean the cities on the east coast, they're just generally very very vast with lots of rivers and stuff like that, right? And if you go to the west, like if you go to Sichuan, sorry, Chengdu or Tibet or maybe Lanzhou or these kind of places, right? Then you'll find that there's more like unique local ethnic culture. You'll see lots of ethnic minorities in those cities. I've heard of some like international students actually studying in Tibet, right? They experience an absolutely different culture in Tibet, and also like Yoramuchi, I think the Xining, these kind of cities, they also have foreign nationals there, right? They also have international students, but very very little. Actually, you experience a lot more ethnic culture, right? So now, if you guys are actually interested in the snow, interested in skiing, you can choose the northeastern region of China, like northeastern region of China, like the three. It's called the three northeastern provinces in China, right? They have great skiing resorts and also snows all year around, with right. And also, there's like good forestation on the mountains, right? And so if you want to be on the upper plains, the higher plains, then you can choose like Qinghai, Tibet, all these kind of places. If you're interested in like kebab culture or like Muslim culture, then you can choose you can choose like Xinjiang. Xinjiang, I think it's quite close. It's culturally similar to like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, these countries, right? They also have a huge Muslim population there, right? And if you're interested in traveling, like I think the best place to choose would be the southwest of China, right? These places, they have different kind of natural resources like forests, mountains, rivers, lake, whatsoever. And these countries, they're bordering Southeast Asia. Like you can go to Laos, Thailand, Vietnam very easily from these places. And so there's a rich climate, rich geographical landscape, very rich, lots of lakes, lots of water, and also, generally speaking, the flights there is going to those cities. They're not very expensive. The cost of living there is also not expensive. Now, now before we end this topic, I do also want to mention the last thing right here. Okay, so do you consider planning to stay in China after you graduation, or do you plan to leave China? Okay, I briefly touched based on that at the beginning of the live streaming, but I want to come back to this topic again. Okay, so if you want to stay in China upon graduation, first of all, you should consider what city you're interested in. If you plan, okay, so if you know what city you're going to stay in upon you graduate from China, which city you will find a job or get married to somebody or apply for a residence visa, then choose a uni in that city, because a lot of companies has established very good connections with the universities there. Whereas if you don't plan to stay in China upon graduation, I think any city that you go to will just be fine, right? But the general rule of thumb is that I would really recommend that you choose a big city in China: Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, or if not one of the biggest cities in China, you can choose a city like Nanjing, Hangzhou, Wuxi, Suzhou. These kind of cities, these are like new tier one cities, right? If you choose a uni in those cities, you'll also have lots of opportunities upon graduation in those cities. You'll also have lots of opportunities in those cities. And if you go to look for a job outside of that city, another city, they will still give a lot of credit to your past work experience and educational experience, because people who have studied, worked, or lived those cities, they are generally very competitive when they go to other parts of China. So guys, who we are? We are from AOE Chinese, and we're actually a very professional company specializing in Mandarin courses, also in HSK exams and studying in China. And this time, we actually chose the topic, which universities you should choose, how you should choose your Chinese university when you come to studying in China. And actually, right here, we have helped lots of foreign nationals on their path of learning Mandarin, passing exams, and also with the university selection. And actually, we had a big gathering just of 1 week ago where we gathered everybody, our clients. We come together to have a huge celebration. I'll show you our huge international family as well as the huge event. All right, I'll show you. Okay, so as you guys can see that video, our expat clients or expat friends, like we're a big family together. They had lots and lots of fun, and they really, really loved that experience of studying in China, also engaging in different kinds of local Chinese activities, to learn about traditional Chinese culture and to experience what it's like to live as an authentic Chinese. And I will play this other video to have to show you what our other client had to say about our company. And this client shares his experiences with studying in China and why he chose to study in China. Okay.
Which country you come from?
My name is Rishad and I came from Bangladesh.
Okay. And now what's your major?
My major is computer science and technology.
Okay. Which university?
Currently, I'm studying at Zhejiang Gongsheng University, but I did my bachelor from Hangzhou Dianji University.
Oh, that's nice. So, why you choose China for your study?
After completing my senior high school degree, I was searching some universities in Europe and some other countries for my bachelor degree, but there was time limitation and some complication about visa, and I had some of my brothers, they're studying in different universities in China, and they were recommending me that China is really good for study, especially engineering, because it's now one of the fast developing country in the world. So I thought, why not to try in China, and then I tried and I came here.
Okay, got it. So what do you most like in China? What fascinates?
I think the first thing is Chinese people. They are so friendly, and the living environment in China is so amazing. We have peace everywhere, and it's safe, and life is so convenient. Technology advancement. So yeah, I think the lifestyle and the people.
Okay. So what's your plan after your graduation? Will you gonna be here?
Currently, I'm doing my master degree, so I have planned to do job after completing the graduation. But I'm not quite sure, but I will maybe go for a PhD or something. But first I will try for job because I heard that in Hangzhou it's tough to get job without a master degree. So I stayed, and maybe I will apply for job.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your opinion.
Thank you.
So as you guys have seen that video, we had interviewed one of our clients, and this client has actually expressed his willingness to study in China, as well as how he benefited from this program. In fact, from studying China, in fact, he completed his degree from Hangzhou Dianzi University all the way up to Hangzhou Zhejiang Gongsheng University. He's studying computer science. He's trying to get a master's degree in China so he can apply for a job to stay in China upon graduation. Okay, so guys, come to study in China with no fears, okay? We'll offer you the right solution, the right we'll tell you your right path, help you make the right decision. We'll erase all your fears, all your worries, and all your anxieties, okay? So if you're trying to apply for a Chinese uni, or if you have any questions about studying in China, please feel free to leave a message below. Drop a comment below, or maybe send us a message in the inbox, and we are more than happy to assist you with any concerns you have, address all your questions and stuff. And yes, and tell us your entire situation. so we can do the evaluation and offer you the right choice. Okay, so guys, my name is Tom and I'm a representative here at AOE Chinese, and we are very, very professional, and I assure you that will serve you with the utmost degree of professionalism and quality. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and we're gonna be live, I think, again next week. We'll choose a different topic every time we meet. Okay, so see you guys. Have a very, very wonderful, lovely day to all of you. Okay, guys, have a very lovely, wonderful day. All right, so bye bye. All right, bye, bye, everybody. I'm off.